So we talk a number of platforms, how to integrate, how to reach the industry platform, their needs, and their
Good afternoon, Vaishali ma'am. Am I audible? Good afternoon, madam. You're audible. Good afternoon, Betsy ma'am. Nice to see you again.
Hey, good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Hello, ma'am. Welcome. Thank you.
We'll begin in a few moments. I think we are waiting for Kadu sir to join in. I'll get back, ma'am.
Gambhir madam,
Yes, sir.
uh, are we ready to go?
We'll wait, sir. Let other faculty join.
Okay. Producer is busy in a meeting of academic council, so we'll start the session. Okay.
We will wait for 2 more minutes. Okay, ma'am. Yes.
So, to start with our today's session. So, good afternoon, everyone. Respected dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, and dear students from our affiliated colleges and university departments. A warm welcome to you all. Under the kind guidance, visionary leadership, and constant encouragement of our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Sanjeev Sonawne sir, respected Registrar Dr. Rajendra Banga sir, and esteemed Controller of Examinations, Professor Dr. Sandeep Kadu sir, we are pleased to organize this late Daulatrao Aher guest lecture series for the students and faculty members of Maharashtra University of Health Sciences and its affiliated colleges. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the second online lecture of this series. We are grateful for your enthusiastic participation and hope that today's session will be enriching and academically rewarding for all. May I now request Dr. Shrunkala Madam to introduce our today's guest, speaker, Dr. Betsy Joseph Ma'am.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vaishali Madam. So it's my great privilege to introduce our esteemed guest speaker for today's session, Dr. Betsy Joseph Madam. Dr. Betsy Joseph Madam is an internationally accomplished academician, researcher, and scientific leader with more than 17 years of global experience in clinical practice, academia, and healthcare research consultancy. Madam currently serves as the director and scientific lead at Integra Researchcraft LLP India and is also associated as a researcher with the University of Helsinki, Finland, and professor at Savita Dental College and Hospitals, SIMATS, India. Dr. Betsy Madam is widely respected for her pioneering contributions in periodontics, regenerative therapies, photodynamic therapy, salivary biomarkers, and evidence based research. Madam has led multiple international and multidisciplinary research collaborations and funded projects across several countries. With over 70 publications in reputed international journals, Dr. Betsy Madam is well known for her expertise in research methodology and scientific communication. She has received prestigious recognitions including FICD, FPFA, and MFDS RCPS Glasgow. Madam has also received competitive research grants from RCPS Glasgow and the University of Helsinki. Recently, Ma'am has been elected as the treasurer of Biophotonics and Laser Group of IADR, a global non-profit research organization. She also is the national trainer for Clinical Research Fellowship Program and Medical Writing Certification Program with Indian Dental Association Head Office. Dr. Betsy Madam has been actively mentoring faculty and researchers in responsible and high quality publications. Today, Madam will of course guide us on a very important theme of responsible scientific writing, including ethics, plagiarism, and the appropriate use of AI. We are truly honored to have you with us, Madam. I hand over the session to you and warmly welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shrinkala, for your kind introduction and warm welcome. Thank you, Vaishali ma'am, and thank you, other senior members present here. And warm welcome to you all to this session where we will be discussing about responsible scientific writing. I'll share my screen.
Sure, ma'am. Yes.
Is the screen visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is visible, ma'am.
All
Yeah,
right.
you can
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Thank you so much. So today is the second session of the series Publishing Healthcare Research in High Impact Journals. Last week, we saw how to plan our research from idea to manuscript. Today, we will see how to do responsible scientific writing, considering concepts of ethics, plagiarism, and AI in this era. And we will also be covering these other sessions in the upcoming weeks. So today what we will learn, we will be answering your questions. There were so many questions that we got related to best practice of scientific writing, how to avoid plagiarism, how to use AI ethically, and many other questions. So let's see what makes writing responsible. To answer that, let's think of a scenario of your paper being audited 5 years from now. What will it be safe? Because whatever you do, you are finally accountable for everything that is under your name. So the question to ask, did you write it? Did you verify it? Can you defend it? On this note, let's see what are the things that we need to be careful about as a researcher and while we are doing our scientific writing and publishing. Trust. This is very important because this is the currency of science. And science is built on trust, and the publications, the research and the publications that we are doing is not just writing, but it's in fact shaping our careers. So if there is a misconduct, it can lead to retraction, which can be really damaging for individuals and institutions. And in this age where AI is changing the whole research and writing culture, let's see what all things we need to be careful about. So we could list this under 3 headings. 1, technical integrity. 2, intellectual integrity. And 3, ethical integrity. So when we're talking about technical integrity, let's look at some important points related to plagiarism, data, and reporting. So if you're still wondering what plagiarism is, it is using someone else's words and ideas as your own without giving proper acknowledgement, without giving proper attribution. Direct copying. You read an article, you copy paragraph, or you copy a data, or you copy data, or you copy a whole idea. So that is also considered plagiarism, which is a big no when it comes to research and editorial workflow. Another thing, there is something called mosaic plagiarism. What is it? You read a line and then you translate it, you paraphrase it line by line in your article, and you think that it is not plagiarism. Sorry, that is also considered plagiarism. Again, self-plagiarism, reusing your own published work in your next research without proper disclosure. So what should you be careful about? Always cite sources properly using appropriate citation styles based on the journal requirement. Whether it is journal or your thesis, this applies. Use quotation marks for direct quotes. In case you're picking something directly from a published article, a published source, and you want to cite it, use it within quotation marks. And now changing words without changing structure is still considered plagiarism. That is what I said. Direct copying, idea plagiarism, and mosaic plagiarism, self plagiarism, these are all different things that knowingly or unknowingly researchers might end up doing, which is not allowed. So please be mindful of the do's and don'ts. So now how can we translate this into responsible writing as a researcher, as a uh, author? Number one, as we discussed, do not paraphrase line by line. When you're reading an idea, reading an article, synthesize the idea. Do not convert each line into another line, just changing the meaning of it, but you are still copying the whole structure of an article, which is a red flag. So synthesize, do not rewrite line by line. You have to cite ideas, not sentences. Again, reusing published material is not allowed. It's not a responsible way. It is an irresponsible way of scientific writing. And duplicating already published article is also an irresponsible way of scientific writing. Another thing is about data integrity. These are very important because knowingly or unknowingly, students or researchers might end up doing these things. So let's see what's allowed and what's not allowed. When you submit your document to the journal, first the editorial team and the editor goes through it, and then they decide whether the paper should be accepted with revisions, minor revisions, major revisions, or should it be outright rejected. There are certain things that can be red flag and raise suspicion, like too perfect data or suspiciously identical standard deviations or borderline p-values repeatedly coming, missing raw data when asked, you're not able to produce it. So these are things that you need to be careful about, and you have to avoid by doing your research and reporting ethically. Do not fabricate data. That is making up data or results. That comes under fabrication and it is not allowed. Manipulating research materials or process, that's called falsification, and that is also not allowed. Altering scientific meaning by altering image, that is also not allowed. Image manipulation is also not allowed. So if you are a researcher or if you're a supervisor, if you're a senior professor listening to this, you need to be careful about what is being submitted to you. If you are a group of scientists working together, if you're a group of researchers or students working together, whenever a result is given to you by another team member or another lab, you need to always recheck because data integrity is very important. So what do? Disclose all image processing in method section. When you're dealing with certain images and data, you will have to normalize it. You might have to process it before you actually use it for analysis. If anything like that is done, you have to disclose it. You have to verify raw data and audit images before using it in your publication. Whether it's your thesis, your publication, it applies to the same. Now, maintain complete research record and store data securely at least for 5 to 7 years. Now, coming to negative results and non-significant findings, not reporting it is also part of data integrity, which means that also has to be reported. Second is intellectual integrity. There comes authorship and accountability questions. So if you have any doubts about accountability, authorship, and all related things, you should visit ICMJE website, where different areas, different queries are very beautifully covered under different paragraphs. So qualifies for an author. This is very important. Someone who has substantially contributed, someone who's been involved in drafting and revising the manuscript, someone who is giving final approval and is accountable and responsible for the whole research that is done and written. So only these set of people are listed as authors in your publication. It could be your first author, it could be your corresponding author, and it could be other team members who are part of your authorship. So let's see, whom should you give credit in the author list? First author, who did the majority of intellectual and practical work. It could be a postgraduate student, it could be an early researcher, or it could be a scientist, but whoever did the maximum intellectual and practical work is the first author. Who is the corresponding author? Corresponding author is a very important person. He takes guarantee of the research. He takes guarantee of the integrity and is usually the one who corresponds with the journal related to journal submission and journal communication, right from first submission till your paper gets accepted, and if there are any queries after that. Now, all authors share accountability and intellectual, who all have contributed intellectually in a research. Some people who might not qualify for authorship, but you still have to give, you still want to give credit to them. That will come in the acknowledgement section. Maybe someone who helped you with only with data collection, or someone who helped you only with software. Now, I hope you understand that only when someone fulfills all these 4 criteria will they be qualified as an author. Others who contributed to the success of the study can be listed in acknowledgement. Why this is important is when you submit your paper to the journal, there are certain scenarios that can be questionable. For example, if it's a very simple study and you have too many authors, which cannot be justified in the methodology section, or some authors added to the research after acceptance, or corresponding author is unaware of these details. So these are things as an author you have to be careful about. If you are a researcher, if you're a team leader, if you are supervisor, if you are a department head and involved in research, there are different criteria that you need to be careful about. Another thing is about conflict of interest when you are submitting and publishing research. Financial and non-financial disclosures are required. Financial interests that include that can influence research outcome. If someone has a patent or someone has a sponsorship, so these things need to be disclosed, because you have to disclose all potential conflicts to the editor and related to the institution. Now, funding sources must be very transparent. And if there are any conflicts, you should manage it by disclosing whenever necessary. Now, if you're doing an industry-related research, you could always go to GPP update and see what it tells about being transparent and being ethical. It asks you to acknowledge medical writers if they have been part of the writing process, declare sponsor roles, and also clarify about data access where the data will be available. A lot of things can be clarified on ICMJE website, where you can read about roles and responsibilities of authors whenever you're in doubt, whether you are an early stage researcher or a senior researcher. When in doubt, let's go to the established websites, credible websites, to clarify our doubts, and you can always quote this. There's also a section on ICMJ specifically about use of artificial intelligence in publishing. We'll come to this. There are many articles and policy decisions given on websites like Nature, where you can go and read their editorial to improve your understanding about different ethical aspects. Now comes the third and a very important aspect, which is ethical integrity. And it's all the more becoming important and all the more becoming relevant in this age of AI. Whenever you're using AI, we had a lot of questions about AI, and we'll be covering a lot of them. So whenever you're using AI, let's remember the concept that AI should be used as an assistant, but you are accountable, you are responsible. So let's have the human in loop, or author in loop approach always with us. Number one, you ask yourself, do I own what I'm putting into AI? Now, that relates to confidentiality. Are you putting data that is confidential into AI, which is a questionable thing, which is not allowed? So you need to ask yourself, do I own what I put into AI? Have I checked the output and do I agree with it before I pass it on for journal submission or for teaching or whichever purpose it is? Do I understand how well the AI can perform the task? For example, if you have an intern with you, you would definitely give a task to the intern which you understand so that at the end of the day, you can verify. Same way, when you're using AI, ask yourself, do I understand how well the AI can perform the task that I've given it? Am I still providing what I've been asked for? And am I being transparent about what I have used? So, this should be your thought process when you're using AI. Now, there are different scenarios where AI is used, can be used in an acceptable way, can be used with caution, and should not be used. So, there is a classification that you can refer to. It is called the Scientific, Technical, and Medical Publishers STM classification. So that gives you a list of things that are generally acceptable because of the way AI is trained. And here we are talking more about large language models, LLMs. So, what is generally acceptable is using AI for refining, correcting, and formatting language, or for writing assistance, but definitely with disclosure because these are the roles that it should be taking. And for translation for publication, there are certain things that you need to proceed only with caution. For example, formatting reported data or creating illustrative images or visualizing existing data or formatting the code, not generating research code, but formatting or editing it. So if this is done, it has to be done with caution and it has to be definitely disclosed. But you have to be careful about for what can AI be used and what AI cannot be used. There are high risk situations where it is not advisable, where it should not be used. For example, creating reference list. Reference list should be verified manually because of the high risk of hallucination and fake data, fake reference that is generated by large language models. Then, presenting AI generated content as original data, that is again not allowed. Never trust AI generated references because of the main two reasons that I said about hallucination and fake references. You would have heard recent instances where big consulting companies had to give huge compensation because of the errors that have appeared because things were not verified, things were fake data were not verified and were included. So never present AI output as research result. Always have the author and human in loop whenever you're using AI. Now, I'm sure many of you present here want to know the names of certain AIs and how to use it, definitely how to use it ethically. So we saw situations where it's acceptable based on the STM classification, where it can be used, may be used, but definitely with caution and after verifying, and how to use it ethically and where it should not be used. So we have some everyday AI tools and certain specific AI tools. If I were to mention the names of everyday AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude, which most of you would be using, there are different scenarios where each of these tools might be slightly better than the other. There are many YouTube videos. One author is Jeff Su, you could follow just for curiosity and learning purpose, where they say that if you have too many commands, then ChatGPT comes up as a most obedient AI tool, where Gemini is more useful when you have multiple types of input, such as you have video, audio, and some messy files, and you want an output, putting them together. Definite Gemini seems to be better. And Claude AI, if you really want a polished or a working out code right from the polished copy, or a working code right at the beginning. Now it's for you to use it and try and figure out what works best for you for your scenario. Common mistakes that are done when AI is used, and we say that the results are not correct. So, common mistakes that researchers do, common mistakes that researchers commit, and how can we improve it? Let's look at certain scenarios. Usual prompt is search PubMed and give me gaps. So many people do the mistake of using large language models, generative AIs, as a search tool. Instead of that, let's see how to improve it. So some common mistakes are like search PubMed and give me gaps, or suggest novel research topic in this field. Tell me what has not been done. And all this we might be doing without giving a context, without giving a role, without giving a constraint. So this is a wrong way of using it. Let's see how to use it. So for example, you are doing research and you have gone through many articles, and for brainstorming, you want to use AI as a research assistant. For brainstorming, you want to use. So what could be the better way of giving a prompt so that you're getting better output? You know, what you give in is what will come out. So let's see how to improve it. So always remember, again, the example of an intern. When a new intern comes to work with you, you don't randomly give a task. You first tell the intern what its roles are, do's and don'ts, what is the context, what is the task that the intern has to do, the assistant has to do, say what is allowed and what is not allowed, and how would you like to have it with you, right? See, this is how we would have our interns or assistants work with us. Same is the way you could use AI. So let's see, if you are in the idea stage and you want to use AI, some already done research. Let's see how to improve it. So you are giving a role to AI. So you say, assume you are a research assistant. You are acting as a research assistant. This is something that you have to type. Okay. And then you write along with it that below are abstracts of studies published from last 5 years that I've downloaded from PubMed. Based on only this content, identify the research theme most commonly studied, or identify the common research study design that's commonly used in the last 5 years. Do not add any new study or speculate beyond the provided material. And you're telling AI to present the output in a bullet form or paragraph or whichever format you want. So this is the structured command. This is one of the few ways of giving a structured command when you are using AI. So you're giving a role, you're giving a context, you're giving a task, you're giving a constraint, what to do, what not to do. And then you are giving the output format also. Then you will get a much better result as a research assistant, not to completely rely on AI alone, but to use it as a research assistant for ideation and brainstorming. Next scenario would be, one question you would be asking is how to use it properly for literature review. Again, author in loop, human is the author is the main person who is responsible. You can use this to assist you. Again, give the role, context, task, constraints, and output format. And you could say something like assume you are a literature synthesis assistant. Based on the abstracts given below, summarize common study designs or gaps in literature, or topics that are included in the limitation of the study. And you could also add in the prompt, do not infer conclusions or assess methodological quality. Use clear section headings and give me an output. So these are different ways you can alter your prompts to use AI ethically and efficiently. Why ethically? Because when you're disclosing your AI, you can AI use, you can even disclose the prompt that you used. Now, another question that we got is, can it be used for statistics? Now, that's a very tricky question. You could give it a role as a statistics tutor and ask it to explain certain statistical tests. You do not use it for analyzing or interpreting in a way that you finally use it for your research, but you can use it to have a discussion with AI to understand the data, to understand the study better, understand different types of statistical tests that can be applied, and you finally go and meet your biostatistician who will do the research for you and give you an output. Now, another scenario is if you have paragraph and you want to edit it, what is the prompt that you can give? Again, give a prompt, giving a role. So this is something that you will type, and then you can type your matter. But always recheck, always use your human oversight at the end, because you are responsible for what you are submitting, and you and you alone are responsible for what is submitting. So this is just, so you could give a command. You are a language editor for scientific manuscript. Improve clarity and flow without adding any new idea or changing scientific meaning. Now, if you're someone who is struggling to learn scientific writing, you could actually use AI tools to learn bit by bit on how to improve your writing after you've already written. So it's like having a tutor. You are giving your input and learning from AI how to improve your scientific writing, your flow, consistency, coherence, how to improve it. This is something we'll discuss in detail in our systematic literature review session. There are many AI tools for literature review. Are they reliable? The way it works, you will understand how much you can rely on these tools, because they actually show you literally a visual mapping of how each paper is related to the author and the topic. There are many tools listed here that you could try. You could try any of those tools, or you could try another tool called Elicit. This is just a recommendation for practice. Now, here you could go to this particular site and type your research question, and it will help you frame that particular keyword into an academic research question and give you list of articles. Now, are these lists complete, comprehensive? No. You always have to run your research on PubMed first, and then you could use these AI supported literature discovery tools to supplement it. So you could use one tool is Elicit AI, where you can type in your keyword, translate it into a meaningful research question, and look at articles. You could, you could go through each article, read the summary, and help it to understand you better, but don't use it as such to use it in your research submission or your research paper. Another tool that can help you understand the large number of PDFs that you have downloaded as a research assistant and to understand different aspects of it could be SciSpace. These are research assistant tools where you can create a library. You can have your own notebook. You could use a function like chat with PDF. You have another function of doing a literature review. There's another function where you can find your research gaps and research topics. There's a function of paraphrasing. There's also many other functions. So all these functions should be used for you to improve your research based on what research output that you've already done. So there are many functions on this particular AI tool. You could try it. Even a list of grants available. It is also linked to PubMed, Google Scholar. You can create a draft. You can create a report a summarizing a report based on the data uploaded. You can also use it for making presentations and data visualization, PDF report, multiple other things. So you could always approach these tools that is being mentioned as part of your micro learning. So we all should get into the habit of learning something new every day. So you could learn AI tools one by one, each function, each day, 15 minutes, that would be more than enough, but keeping the ethical principles that we discussed, keeping in mind. This is a tool that is now being recommended by many scientists for automating academic illustration. Now, the question is, should you use AI for statistical analysis? No, you could use it to understand your analysis, understand different studies better, so that you can finally go to your biostatistician and get the data analyzed and write a meaningful result and meaningful discussion section. There are certain tools that can help you understand your data better. So one tool would be Julius AI. You could go to this particular website and upload like we upload simulated data to understand how this works. So what you can see here is a simulated randomized control trial data that we uploaded and to understand. So you could do this to understand different aspects, how results are created, what are the different ways in which you can visualize your data. So once you go through this, you go and have a discussion with your biostatistician. You will be able to give meaningful inputs to your biostatistician because now you understand your study much better. Now, this is the final tool that I'm discussing, but this tool is very special compared to other tools for one main reason, that while generative AI that we discussed so far generative AI do have instances of hallucination and fake references. So when it comes to NotebookLM, Gemini's NotebookLM, which is being used by many institutions for researchers and students, because the beauty of this AI tool is that it gives you results, it gives you report only based on the data that you are giving it, only based on the source that you are uploading it. Whereas in other tools that we discussed, there is a chance that even if you upload and if you don't give a proper prompt in the correct way, there is chance for hallucination and falsification. But here, this tool, you can see on this, so you can go to Google, type NotebookLM. Click on that and you reach a page like this. You can click create notebook that you can see on the top aspect. And you can rename this particular notebook. So like when we go to school, we have different notebooks for different subjects. Same way in this notebook LM, you can create different notebooks for different research that you're doing. You can rename your notebook into whatever project you're working on. And then on the left side, you can see a plus sign and add sources. You can upload up to 50 sources. Now things keep changing every day. So maybe if you are watching this video after a month or two, maybe these things would have even gotten better. So click on add sources and you can add downloaded sources which are in Word format, which are PDFs, which could be YouTube videos, it could be images, and it can even be picture of a handwritten note. So these are different sources that you can upload and ask it to summarize. For example, you went for a conference, and you're a researcher and you took a lot of notes and now you have to summarize it. The best way and the most ideal way, traditional way of doing it is sit and make all the notes yourself. Now, if you want to use AI, NotebookLM would be a good tool because it will summarize only what you have provided it with. So you could take picture of the handwritten notes, upload, and it will summarize. So if it's a YouTube video that you've heard, this 1 hour video, you could actually put it in NotebookLM and ask it to summarize in bullet forms or even create a mind map out of what you are listening today. So this is a task that you could go back and do. So there are different sources that you can upload on NotebookLM, including there's left side middle aspect, you can see search the web for new sources. You can actually search the web and select the PDF, video, image or Word document that you want to upload. And then what you go, you give a prompt. Now the prompt like you gave for generative AI, it's better if you can give a well-structured prompt in NotebookLM, also giving it the role, the constraint, the task, the context, and the output that you want. Okay, so please do use this. A lot of foreign universities are using this to teach their students and to improve the research process. So please do take time and go through this. So on the right side of NotebookLM, you will see multiple functions. So as part of micro learning, try one function one day. So there's an interesting function called audio podcast, where if you have a Word document, for example, you go to ICMJE and you download a document about 25, 30 page, and you read a bit of it and you are tired or you're bored. What do? Upload it here and click audio podcast, and you can hear that particular content as a podcast done between two people. So that's very interesting way of learning. Mind mapping. You could upload a document and create mind maps out of it. Images, mind maps coming out of the document that you've uploaded. That's very helpful in learning. For students, mind map is a very useful tool. So you could actually, if there's a lecture note you have, or an article, or a textbook chapter that you want to learn, you can upload either on audio podcast or in mind map, and point by point you can learn. Now, another function of NotebookLM is to, suppose you're going for Viva and you want to prepare for Viva. Now, we're talking about researchers, but we are also talking to postgraduate students and to supervisors. So these functions could be very useful. You could upload a document and convert that document into different questions as flashcards. There's also a function to convert it into quiz. There's a function to convert it into report. There's a function to convert it into videos. There's another interesting function that if you have a research and you want to convert it into an infographic, because as a researcher, you're not only talking to scientists and healthcare professionals. What if you want to talk to general public? So infographics are very useful. So you could upload your own poster into this and create infographic, or your research paper, or maybe a systematic literature review that's already published. You could upload it in NotebookLM and create different formats for better learning and understanding. So we saw how technical integrity, how intellectual integrity, how ethical integrity is useful for us to do a responsible scientific writing. We saw about authorship. We saw who is qualified for an author and who is not, who should be added in acknowledgement section, and who should be actually added as author, who should be added as the first author, who should be added as corresponding author, and who should be the authors in the middle positions. And all these things should be decided before you start writing your manuscript. We also saw how to be ethical when we are reporting in terms of data integrity, in terms of plagiarism, in terms of reporting science the way it is, both positive and negative findings. When we saw about ethical integrity, we saw how can we use the softwares and tools that is available today that everyone is using, how to use it in an ethical manner, how to use it correctly. We looked at certain generative AI tools, and we also looked at large notebook LM, which can help you summarize, which can help you create presentations, which can help you understand your writer better, and which can help you generate mind maps, audio podcasts, and many other functions. And how NotebookLM, the tool, differentiates itself from other tools is that in NotebookLM, it gives you report only it is grounded in the sources that you provided. Now, after all this, there's 5 case scenarios that I'd like to present to you, and then we will open the session for Q&A. So let's see, what are the common scenarios that we are always faced with from researchers, from supervisors, from professors. So as an editor, there are many things that we come across, and let's see. One question that is asked is, my similarity index is 6%. Can my paper still be unethical? Or it could be the other way. You could say that my student or my colleague has written a paper and the similarity index is only 6%. Can that paper still be ethical? Can this paper still be unethical? Now, that leads to another question. How do you check similarity index? How do you check plagiarism? There are different tools. Usually, editors and journals take the help of Authenticate. Turnitin is also another tool, and there are many other tools like Dupli Checker and other tools available online. Always go for the paid version of the tool. And if you are part of the institution, there's an institutional program. So I'm sure if your institution has plagiarism tools available, please do make use of that. So now the question is, can a similarity index of 6% still be an unethical paper? Yes, it can be. In not all cases, because similarity scores detect overlap. It does not detect authorship integrity. So if is used, AI generated document or poorly paraphrased text might bypass detection tool and show similarity index as very low, but still it could be unethical if authorship integrity has not been maintained. Another scenario. My journal did not ask AI use anywhere. My journal, you're submitting your paper to a journal where nowhere was it written that the use of AI should be disclosed. Whereas in most of the journals do. But in case you come across a situation like this, can I skip disclosure? No, you should not skip disclosure. This is the ethical responsibility, irrespective of the journal format, that if you have used AI, it should be disclosed. Authors are expected to follow best practices, even if policies are silent. Now we'll have few more questions, then we'll take your questions, few more scenarios. Another scenario is a PhD student used AI extensively but did not inform the professor. The paper is already accepted. Now, if the professor asks, who is responsible? Or the student asks, who is responsible? All authors are responsible. We saw in the authorship criteria. All authors share responsibility, especially the corresponding author, because corresponding author is taking the responsibility of the integrity of the research. So lack of awareness is not an ethical defense. Another scenario. Is it acceptable to use AI to summarize literature if I later check the papers myself? Now that's a clause. You have to understand the whole question. You can use AI to summarize literature, but you have to do it with caution, and you have to recheck, because AI can assist, but authors must verify content and ensure accuracy and disclose its use. And finally, if this is a scenario that AI suggests multiple references that appear authentic, the author includes them without checking. What is the risk? I hope from today's presentation you understood that the risk is that AI can generate fake or incorrect references. So do not rely on generative AI for generating references. Now, this brings us to the end of today's session, where if you look at, there are a lot of discussions happening about responsibly integrating AI in research. So if you look at Cochrane 2026 that's happening in Krakow, there is a section on responsible AI in evidence synthesis, where multiple topics are going to be discussed. For example, AI assisted stages of evidence synthesis and guideline development, human in the loop process, which we already saw, biases associated with large language model for evidence synthesis, strategies to deliver Cochrane evidence directly to AI assistants, and AI supported knowledge translations are some of the topics that will be covered there. So you see how the whole world is working on using AI and related factors responsibly. So today's key takeaway, what will be our key takeaway? Our key takeaway is to understand that transparency builds trust and it builds career. Maintain research and academic integrity. Use AI responsibly and ethically. Use AI support, but disclose it and let AI not replace authors. Remember the author in loop approach whenever we are using. So that brings us to the end of today's session. Feel free to connect with us. I'm available on LinkedIn and I'll also be here with you for the next 3 sessions. So thank you so much for your patient listening. I am open to the questions. Yes.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Joseph. I request our participants kindly ask questions. Today's session also live on YouTube, so I request those students join YouTube. Post your questions in the live chat box. Yeah, one question. Dr. Joseph, what is
Yes,
the
sir.
most critical ethical obligation of a scientific author?
Accountability is what I would like to answer, sir.
Yes, sir.
Being responsible for everything that has been done and presented in the paper. So accountability would be the most important thing.
Yes. Next question.
Yes.
Does submitting AI generated text count as a plagiarism?
Yes, sir. It has to be disclosed. If AI is used for any section of the paper, it should be disclosed. And we saw in the STM classification what is allowed and what is not allowed. So we have to follow those rules when we are using AI for any paper.
Next question.
Yes.
How can I use the AI tools without committing plagiarism?
Yes. Again, by using AI tools in the manner that it is described and using proper prompts and disclosing the use of AI. Now, plagiarism is copy pasting what you read without giving credit to anyone. So, how we can avoid plagiarism is by giving due credit for the idea, for the sentence that you have taken. And we should not use sentence by sentence in our write up. We have to uh, synthesize the result. We have to read a paragraph and then convert it into our own language and write. That is the best way and the correct way to avoid plagiarism.
Other question from live chat in YouTube. What is considered self-plagiarism and how can researchers avoid it?
Yes, sir. So these questions also are already covered. So self-plagiarism is when you are citing your own work without disclosing it, without giving credit to it. So self-plagiarism is something that is to be avoided, and it can be avoided by disclosing that your work, and avoid citing your paper too many times just to get more citations when it is not relevant in a particular scenario. So self-plagiarism should be avoided.
Thank you, madam. Other question. How can we use AI as a referencing tool?
Now, there is a limitation for using AI as a referencing tool. Proper referencing tool that you can actually use is EndNote or Zotero or Mendeley. You will find multiple YouTube videos on how to use it and upload it onto your Word document, attach it to your Word document and use it. So these are referencing softwares where we actually download references, the correct references related to the portion we are writing, and we insert it as we write. So you can use AI as a supplementary tool to search for references like we saw today after doing your major database search like PubMed, Scopus, Web of Science, etc. But do use proper referencing tools like EndNote, Zotero or Mendeley as referencing tools to insert references.
Yeah. Madam, other question. Any AI writer tool and content generator available on website that is authentic or that can give any reference?
Again, we would suggest that the researchers go and download PDFs full text from PubMed and
Yeah.
then use AI maybe to help them understand the content of it rather than just generate text. So that's what we would suggest.
Next question. What are the risks of using AI in literature reviews?
Yes. So the risk of using AI in literature review, main two risk is the risk for hallucination, that AI will actually tell you things that is not there. And give the second risk is risk for false references. So if you might see that there is a reference given and without verifying you will use it, and then turns out that the reference did not exist at all. So what I would suggest is take reference only from published articles that are available on major databases like PubMed, Web of Science, Scopus, Cochrane, etc. Go to the end of your article, look for references there, and check those references. Use only reliable reference. Do not use AI for reference generation.
One question, madam. What is
Yes,
the
sir.
role of Equator networks? Equator, EQAATOR. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So Equator Network is a website where you will find different reporting guidelines for you to use while you're preparing manuscript. For example, if you're reporting a clinical trial, you can consort statement and prepare your manuscript based on the consort checklist. If you are doing a diagnostic accuracy study, you'll go to Equator Network and download STARD checklist. Then you have STROB checklist if you're doing a cross-sectional study or an observational study. So Equator Network is basically a site for you to get reporting guidelines, which you can use a checklist to prepare your manuscript. So the advantage is you're being ethical there because you are reporting the whole study under all relevant headings. So that is the use of reporting guidelines that you get on Equator Network.
Next question from
Yes,
live chat in YouTube. I found. How can researchers ensure proper attribution when multiple people contributed?
Could you please repeat that question, sir?
Yeah. How can researcher ensure proper attribution when multiple people contribute?
Yes, sir. That's a good question. And it's a very difficult scenario when multiple people are contributing, especially from different research backgrounds, different institutions. So you could have a written agreement when you start research with collaborators on how you plan to run the whole study. And we have to understand, and the researchers also have to understand the technical integrity, the intellectual integrity, and the ethical integrity concept that we discussed. That is the only way. And always have the data, raw data available. Please collect the raw data from whomever you're working with. So especially the corresponding author, because the corresponding author is finally responsible for the whole team's research. So these are the way we can actually be careful when we are working with different researchers.
Other question, madam. Does NotebookLM don't have any risk for our research report?
Although it cannot be 100% assured, but from experience and from the report that's available worldwide, this is a tool that grounds a report based on the input you have given. Still, we do follow author in loop approach, and we always verify all the report and summary before we use it anywhere else.
Any question from other delegates, faculty members, please?
Yeah, Dr. Besti, Dr. Mahendra here. As usual, session is excellent, but there are something like regarding the available sites and their payment options. I mean, which one is better for initially to go ahead? That is what some of the questions, some of the participants also would like to know, because almost most of the sites are the paid with the different panels. So, as a PG level, what they should be taken care of, and which one they should opt first?
For which particular function are they asking, sir?
At the PG level, they are going for the literature review, and that is the most important part for them.
Yes, sir. So, NotebookLM, I would suggest as a PG, use your research topic, break it down into keywords, and first search it in PubMed. And then you could give a timeline on PubMed, for example, last 5 years or 3 years articles, download good articles which are cited well and submitted in good journals. Then you could come to NotebookLM actually, because it actually gives you a lot of free chance to summarize. Or you could also go for size space, but NotebookLM is what I've seen compared to all other tools that gives you a lot free chance. Now our students want to know for free without payment option, where can we use for literature summarizing and to understand our data? I would say NotebookLM.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Patel. Any other questions from audience? Any question from YouTubers? No questions? Yes. Thank you, Dr. Joseph.
Thank you, everyone, for your patient listening and active interaction. We'll see you next week with another interesting topic. Till then, thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.